If you want to hear how I created this look, then stick around. Hi there, it's Hélène with another video, and I just could not help but film a short video for you today explaining how I came up with this blue pinky iridescent look. I was actually trying to put together a cool toned look, a look that I promised to Julie, who prefers cool toned looks, and I know that I don't do many of those types of looks on this channel. And I started taking out the colors that I wanted to use and realized that it was spanning most of the palettes. And I know 4 of you have contributed to the palettes that I'm using during the month of July, at least for a couple of weeks. And I thought you would be interested to know what went into this look, because I think it's a little bit unusual, especially for this channel. So if you will humor me, we'll take a few minutes. I want to show you every palette that I used and go from there. I figure I'll go with the face products first, so in order of application, face products, and then going into eyes and lips. So let's get right into it. Now, first off, when it came to powders, I used the Maybelline Fit Me and the Hourglass Veil to set my foundation. If you're curious, the foundation is the Makeup Forever Y215. I used this actually, let me just talk about this here. I used this sculpting powder, and I used this highlighter out of the ABH Contour Kit. So those are the 2. And just so I don't take it out again, this matte cream color I used to set my eye primer. I also used a few of the items in this palette. This is the Rimmel and Sephora palette that I put together. One of them, it's 6 Sephora blush. It was a Sephora blush palette, 6 pans that I depotted because I really didn't like the palette. And so you'll see a bunch of blushes here, and I used this one, which is a shimmery kind of burgundy brown, and I think it looks pretty nice as a blush. And I also used the Rimmel bronzer, and also it's a shimmery bronzer, and the Rimmel Stay Matte. And the Rimmel Stay Matte I used in my T-zone, so right here on my nose and on my chin, and that is pretty much what I did. Now, and the Rimmel bronzer I put on my temples, I put on my cheekbone, under the blush obviously, and around my nose and under my lower lip. And so far, I think that these are good. I really hadn't been using these powders, so it's nice to use them. And I think I did my face first, but I think that I picked colors that went with the eye look afterwards. Speaking of, let's talk about eye looks. I'll just mention really quickly because they're not part of the palette roulette items. And by the way, if you're not familiar with it, every 2-ish weeks, I put it out there for folks who are watching that particular video to select my makeup for the coming few weeks. So all the palettes you're going to see here are selections from this latest roulette. So that's why I'm going over these, because they're not random. And if you are curious, in a couple weeks you'll see a palette roulette video where I'm going over all the looks I did with this set of palettes, and also inviting you to wade in with numbers for the next round. If you want to see what the last video of this type looked like, I'll put it right here. So let's get back to brows. The brows, what I used was a Sephora brow wax. I used a Quo brow bone highlighter that comes in my Quo brow palette that I talk about all the time. And I also used a Joe Fresh brow pencil in Ash. And I finished up with an Essence mascara, clear mascara, and the ABH Clear Brow Gel. So I'm using both right now because I'm trying to get through the Essence, and I find that I can use both lightly and just keep getting through the Essence one, because I don't find it has as much hold as the ABH, but I don't want to throw it out. I'd like to use it. Long story. Anyway, moving to the eyes themselves, I mentioned that I used eye primer. It is the NYX Eyeshadow Base 03. The only reason I'm using such dark color is it was on sale and I'm happy with it. It always gets covered up. It's a little bit more orangey than you might expect. And oh, and I forgot to mention the concealer I wear under my eye and around my nose. So under my eye, it's the NYX CW02 HD Photogenic Concealer, and then around my nose is the Boing Airbrush in the number 2. All right, I think we've covered everything. Now you know I've got my eye primer, you know what I set it with. Let's get into the shadows. So the first thing that I did was I went into my Chocolate Bar palette, and this was picked by Julie, and I used this color, which is Strawberry Bonbon. I used it on my inner lid to center lid, all the way to the crease, and even up to the brow bone actually. And it was pretty much most of the way across, about 2/3 of the way across the lid and crease is what I used that color for. And it was as a base for the next 2 colors that I am using. The next color I put on was the outer lid. So I didn't quite go for the topper yet. I went to the outer lid with Susan's selection of the Lorac navy color, and I had promised to repress that powder in the last video, and I did. Let me show you. This is the color, this navy color from the Lorac Skinny Navy, and I put that on the outer lid and into the crease, and then blended it out up toward the brow bone, as you can see. And I also used a small Smashbox smudger brush to go along the lower lash line. That is how I did the blue look. And you'll see some sparkles. And so the blue and the Strawberry Bonbon, those were base colors, a lot less shimmer and bling in those two because I was going to layer stuff on top. This is where it gets interesting and why I decided to explain the look, because I didn't film it, as opposed to trying to list everything because it would be super confusing. The next thing I did was I went into the Aurora palette by Anastasia Beverly Hills, and this was a selection by Steph. And the color that I used is Spectra, right here. And it looks very purple, but what it does is, I think you can see it, it offers up an iridescent pink. And so that's why you see it's quite light on the inner lid. And I really tried not to go too far up. Though what I did was I did use Spectra up to almost halfway, and then I topped Spectra off with something on top, and that is going back to the chocolate bar. So let's go there. The next color I used, and those are 2 colors that I promised I would be using. So I used the Strawberry Bonbon, and I also used this one, which is Candied Violet. And it is very sheer. It's a very sheer color, and it looks really neat. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you all 3. I'm going to show you Candied Violet, I'm going to show you the Spectra, and then the third color that I layered in together with it. Because I think that seeing those 3 just really gives you an idea of how it all came together. Now I won't put the base underneath, but I think you'll be able to see the 3 colors. Now on the outer lid, I used yet another color, and it was from another palette that was selected in this round. So this eye look would never ever have come together if I didn't have these palettes selected, which is what I think is so cool. Let me show you the third one. We're going back into this magnetic palette, and it is this one. It is the Black Butterfly, which is a shadow in the Cheers to the Beauty palette from Colored Rain. And this one also has kind of a sheer effect to it. It's more opaque than the other ones, but it still has a sheer shimmery effect to it. So hopefully you will be able to see all 3. So there's the, I'm just trying to see if it's going to catch the light. There's the pink iridescence from Spectra. It's purpley pink. And then this one is the Candied Violet. And then finally the Black Butterfly. Let me just see if I can intensify these because they're not really showing up in the viewfinder. Let's just see if I can get a little bit of a better view here. So there's the pinky purple from the Spectra. This one is the Candied Violet from Too Faced. So this is Anastasia, Too Faced, and now here, Colored Rain. And the gradient is really interesting on the eye, I think. I think it really turned out to be an interesting look. Now I finished up this look with a few extra products, obviously, so let me show you what I used. I ended up using Perversion, the 24/7 Glide-On Pencil by Urban Decay, and I am always surprised at just how buttery this one is, and it goes into the waterline and it does not move, and it also really doesn't transfer to the lower lash line, which a number of black pencils do that, so I appreciate that. I used a mini 24/7 Glide-On from Urban Decay called Goddess, because I thought the blue really went well with these colors, and you'll see that there's a little bit of a metallic shift. Well, sparkles, I should say, sparkles in the liner itself. It does kind of have a bit of a shift because it depends which way you look at it to see that it's a shimmery liner. And I put that liner on the lower waterline just a little bit, and just going to apply a little bit more. I don't think it stayed. There we go. I think that's the full effect. My eyes have been tearing up today, so I think that it just kind of washed away, but this is, I mean, it's a nice intense blue, and I quite like it. I used the Stila Stay All Day Waterproof Liner on the upper waterline. Now, of course, this you can see is a deluxe mini, but it works beautifully. I love the tip on the Stila because it is very fine. It can be very, very precise. As you can see, it's a very small line here. Very precise, and I find that it's really easy to use. Then I used two different mascaras. I used the Lisoitier V-Element mascara. It's called Volcanic Minerals Mascara. And I also used my favorite right now for the lower lash line, and it is the Annabelle Skinny. And I say favorite because I don't usually like to put mascara on my lower lashes, but this skinny mascara does a really good job, and I enjoy it. I topped it off by using the NYX Dewy Setting Spray, and I also did my lips, and I'll talk about that in a second. My lips are very neutral, very basic today, and I used 3 of the colors in the L'Oreal palette. And the L'Oreal palette, I believe that was Julie who picked it out. And I used this one, I used 3, yeah. This one, which I had used before, this lighter shade, and then the highlighter shade. So this one more on the outside of the lip, all over the rest of the lip, and then just highlighting toward the center of the lip. And I think it looks all right. I think it fits with the bluish purpley pink look that I have on. And that's it. I know it's a long explanation, but I wanted to offer it because, as you can tell, if I just listed what it was, it would be really, really hard to figure out what it is that I did. And I'm just going to close my eyes so that you can kind of see everything that's going on the upper lid. And so that's it. I guess this video is a quick note of appreciation for the palettes that came out this time. This is by far the most exciting of the palette collection Roulette picks that I have had. And as I'm diving into these, I just find myself super, super excited. And there's really only one palette that I did not use today, and I almost did. And I think this was Biljana. I was going to use this one, this purpley color, because I thought that I would be able to use it instead of the blue on the outer corner, but all of a sudden I decided to use the Lorac Skinny navy color. But this palette could have easily been part of this cool look as well. Cool in all senses of the word. I think I'm going to be hanging out with these palettes for a while. So thank you again for these great selections. I realize you were just picking numbers, you didn't know what you were selecting, but the mix this time around, I cannot hide my excitement. Now, future looks, you will end up seeing them on Instagram, as you will see this one. But this one was so involved, so all over the place, I really wanted to walk you through it, and for you to see as well how excited I am. This is going to be a good month of July. That's all I'm going to say. So stay tuned for some more looks. If you have any feedback for me, please leave that below. I always love to hear about you and the various ideas. It's a lot of the ideas that I hear that end up on this channel to begin with. So thank you so much. I will leave it at that. Thank you for watching. I do appreciate it very much. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video. But for now, take care.